Amber's voice was a splash of icy water on an ordinary Tuesday evening. "So, I'm getting married," she chirped, the words dripping with faux spontaneity. "Same weekend as you, actually. Isn't that funny?" My breath caught, my eyes darting to the wall calendar where June 15th was circled in gold, a date that had been sacred for 8 months of meticulous planning. "The same day?" I managed to ask, my voice thin. "Amber, my wedding is on June 15th. The invites have been out for weeks." Her laugh was light, a weapon disguised as amusement. "I know, but James just proposed, and we don't want a long engagement. Besides, yours is this huge production. Mine'll be like casual. It won't even compete." But that was the lie at the heart of it. It wasn't about competition, it was about colonization. She wasn't planning a separate event, she was launching a hostile takeover of my joy, and her casual tone was the first wave of the invasion. I am Lily. At 26, my identity has been carved in the negative space around my younger sister's luminosity. Where Amber is impulsively charming, I am conscientiously steady, a high school teacher who finds sanctuary in lesson plans and structure. My wedding to Marcus was to be my manifesto, a declaration that patience and intention have their own profound beauty. For nearly a year, I had curated every detail: a garden ceremony at the historic Willow Creek Manor, a guest list of 200 of our collective loved ones, a palette of dusty rose and sage that felt like us. It was my sanctuary of order. Amber's call was not a sibling oversight. It was a strategic strike on that sanctuary. It forced a question I had spent a lifetime avoiding. In the economy of our family, was my happiness only permissible if it didn't inconvenience hers? The reaction from our parents was a masterclass in enabled dysfunction. When I called, voice trembling with disbelief, my mother's sigh was heavy with the burden of my expectations. "Lily, honey, she's already told James's family. It's done. Can't you just be the bigger person?" The bigger person, that familiar code for the more compliant person, the one who absorbs the shockwaves of Amber's whims. My father, the family's reluctant referee, offered a practical solution. "Your deposits can't be that much. Just push it to July. The weather will be nicer anyway." Their collective stance was clear. Amber's impulsive desire was a fact to be accommodated. My planned commitment was a problem to be solved. I was being asked to dismantle my dream because she had conceived a new one. The days that followed were a quiet internal unraveling. I moved through my teacher duties mechanically, the vibrant wedding spreadsheets on my laptop now feeling like artifacts from a life I was being evicted from. The pain wasn't just about the date, it was the chilling realization that my family viewed my careful planning as a disposable luxury, while Amber's whims were treated as urgent necessities. I watched as she began posting cryptic countdowns on social media, her spontaneous romance narrative already being crafted at the direct expense of my own. Each like from a family member felt like a tiny endorsement of her coup. In the hollow silence that followed, a switch flipped. Instead of despair, I felt a cold, sharp clarity. I began to investigate with the disappassionate focus of a historian. I contacted a wedding planner I knew, who, after some discreet inquiries, confirmed Amber's venue had multiple summer dates available. An email chain forwarded to me from a sympathetic friend in the industry showed Amber explicitly requesting June 15th after being offered other weekends. The digital paper trail was damning, but the emotional evidence was worse. A screenshot from a bridal forum showed a post from an anonymous user describing a plan to upstage my boring sister by stealing her wedding date. The details were unmistakably ours. This wasn't a coincidence or a compromise, it was a campaign. Armed with this evidence, I made my decision from a place of serene certainty. I told Marcus, "I am not moving a single thing, not the time, not the venue, not a flower." His support was my anchor. "Then that's what we do," he said, his calm mirroring my newfound resolve. I sent a simple, unemotional group text to my immediate family. "Our wedding will proceed on June 15th as planned. We hope you can be there to celebrate with us." The response was a torrent of manipulation. Amber accused me of being selfish and rigid. My mother wept about divided loyalties and family unity. My father sent articles about the virtues of compromise. They were so accustomed to my compliance that my stillness was interpreted as a temporary stubbornness, a stance they believed they could pressure me out of. A strange duality defined the final month. By day, I was a picture of bridal calm, finalizing place cards and doing dress fittings. By night, I was a silent witness to a digital war. Amber's Instagram became a curated feed of effortless planning, photos of her hastily chosen dress captioned, "When you just know," and mood boards for a boho chic picnic reception. Each post was a deliberate contrast to my own aesthetic, a public framing of her wedding as authentic and mine as overproduced. But my phone became a graveyard of strained messages from aunts and cousins, their polite declines often ending with, "We just think Amber needs the support more right now." This mass deflection was the final, clarifying insult. It showed me that my family's loyalty was not to fairness, but to the path of least resistance, and Amber was always that path. As the date approached, the social fallout became a public spectacle. Extended family and mutual friends were forced to choose sides, their discomfort palpable in awkward text messages. Amber's social media became a shrine to her whimsical, love-at-first-sight wedding planning, a narrative that deliberately contrasted my own quiet preparations. Yet with every passive-aggressive post and every relative who reluctantly canceled on me, I felt lighter. I was shedding the weight of their expectations. The morning of the wedding, I turned off my phone. I got ready surrounded not by family, but by my bridal party of choice. Marcus, my best friend Tara, and my two closest colleagues. The atmosphere was one of pure, supportive joy, untainted by familial tension. Walking down the aisle, I saw Marcus's tearful smile and the faces of people who truly wanted to be there. The empty seats were not an absence, but a creation, a space they had chosen to leave, and one I had learned to fill with my own peace. The reckoning came at the reception. My parents arrived late, directly from Amber's ceremony. Their presence felt like a condolence visit. Taking them to a quiet corner, I presented the evidence not as an accusation, but as an autopsy. "She had other dates," I said, showing them the emails on my phone. "She chose this one to hurt me, and you chose to help her." The color drained from my mother's face. My father stammered, "We didn't know. She said—" "You didn't ask," I replied, my voice steady. "You have always assumed my stability could bear the weight of her chaos. That ends today." I wasn't asking for an apology or a change. I was issuing a statement of fact about the future. I loved them, but I would no longer fund their peace with my sacrifice. In the weeks that followed, a heavy quiet settled over my family relationships. The silence was not punitive on my part, it was protective. I needed the space to let the new boundaries harden into reality. Amber's initial fury, which she broadcast in a series of now deleted stories, eventually gave way to a frosty, formal civility. My parents, visibly shaken by the confrontation and the evidence they could not unsee, began the slow, clumsy work of rebuilding. Their calls became less about guilt and more about genuine, if awkward, inquiries into my life. They were learning for the first time how to have a relationship with me that was not mediated by Amber's needs. The aftermath was a landscape of quiet realignment. Amber's fury eventually cooled into a distant, formal civility. My parents, shaken, began the slow, awkward work of building a new relationship with me that respected my boundaries simply because they had seen the cost of crossing them. The wedding photo I treasure shows Marcus dipping me in a laugh during our first dance, with Tara cheering in the background. It is a picture of joy that was hard-won and therefore utterly authentic. My sister tried to share my spotlight, believing it would dim mine. Instead, her actions forced me to build my own stage, and in doing so, I discovered the light was within me all along. I didn't just have a wedding that day, I inaugurated a new era of my life, one where I am no longer a supporting character in someone else's story.